Hi, and welcome to episode 94 of the Noble Character Crafts podcast. My name is Amy, and I am coming to you from eastern Nebraska, where I live with my husband and our 5 children. Today is Friday, June 5th, 2020. A huge welcome to any new or returning viewers. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you joining me, and I hope that you enjoy this episode. This is a podcast all about my crafty life, and today I have knitting and crocheting to share with you all. You can find me online on Instagram and Etsy at Noble Character Crafts, and you can get in contact with me through my email at noblecharactercrafts@yahoo.com. I will have links to the places that you can find me in the description box below, as well as the show notes for this episode. I am currently hosting a make-along over on Instagram called the Make 9 2020 Mal, and that is for you to join in on the Make 9 challenge, where you choose 9 patterns that you would like to make within the year 2020. Make a grid of those 9 patterns, post that on Instagram, and include the hashtag Make 9 2020 Mal, and then any progress pictures or work or finished objects that you have for that make-along are eligible to be entered in the make-along. So you just post a picture whenever you are working on anything and include the hashtag, and that will make you eligible to win a prize, which I am choosing periodically throughout the year. So this MAL does go for the entirety of 2020. WIPs are allowed, so if you have an outstanding work in progress that you would like to complete this year, that is perfectly fine. And also all crafts are included with this make along as well. So if you have many different crafts that you would like to work on this year, go ahead and include them on your Make 9 board, and that is perfectly fine and very welcome. So I hope that you all would join in if you haven't already, and thank you to everybody that has already joined in. It's so much fun to see all of the different progress that you all are making on the projects that you would like to make this year. I was contacted by a wonderful hand dyer of yarn. Her name is Krista, and she is from Sweet Mountain Yarn. And she contacted me and asked if she could send a prize for the Make 9 2020 Mal. And of course, I was so happy to receive that. And she graciously sent me, so here is the prize that she sent, all beautifully wrapped up. And she graciously sent me an exact duplicate of the prize. So thank you again, Krista, so much. Here is the beautiful yarn that she sent. Isn't that gorgeous? It's called Summer Snow Cone. It is a fingering weight yarn, 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. And she also included this adorable little pouch. It has a ring on it, a little stitch marker. Progress Keeper is attached to that, and it's got a little zipper so you could keep your notions in there and attach it to a project bag or something like that. It would be so cute. So that goes along with the prize. So I went ahead and picked a winner through Instagram. I just do a random number and then I kind of count through the list. And the winner is Jacqueline K. Brown. So congratulations, Jacqueline. If you could please get in contact with me either through Instagram or through my email address, which again is noblecharactercrafts@yahoo.com, and send me your mailing address, and I will get that off in the mail to you as soon as possible. And again, thank you so much, Krista. I really appreciate you sending over that gift for me to pass along. And again, thank you so much for the gift that you sent to me as well. I really, truly appreciate it. I was able to finish a couple of projects that I was working on last time. So I think I only had 2 works in progress last time I recorded, and I was able to finish both of them. The first of which I am wearing, and I need to talk about quickly because it's warm. So this is the beautiful design by Elizabeth of Purls and Peonies. It's called the Veela, and it is a test knit that I was able to complete for her, and I'm so pleasantly pleased with this sweater. It was such a joy to make, and I'm just so thrilled with how it's turned out. I was a bit nervous about it because it is knit bottom up, and so I'm always a little bit nervous about knitting bottom up sweaters, just because my preference is top down, just for the ease of being able to try it on to make sure that the fit is right. I wasn't quite as worried. I don't quite worry about the body so much because I can usually compare that to one of my sweaters that I like the fit of and make sure that it's about the right size. But I'm always nervous about the sleeves being the right length. This design is meant to have 3/4 length sleeves. And when I was knitting it, when I finished, if you watched before, you would have seen it, but when I finished the first sleeve, I think it was about this long. And when I held that up, it was really only coming to my elbow, and I thought I'm just going to add a few more inches to that, and so that it would be more of a 3/4 length sleeve. Now, honestly, I was really thinking I would love this to be a full length sleeve because it's held together with mohair. I'll talk about the yarn in a minute, but it's good. It's a warm sweater, and so I thought it would make sense just to make this a cozy sweater by having full length sleeves. So that was really my preference, but I didn't know how to do that. I didn't know how long to make them in order to make them full length. So I just wanted to add a couple more inches because I am quite tall. I'm 5'10", and so my arms are longer than the average woman. And so I thought I'll just add a couple more inches. But I was wrong in that I thought that, well, I guess it's just because the sleeve is a bit dropped here. You can see the sleeve really only starts right here. You know, you only knit it to about right here, and then you still have all of this left that's part of the raglan increase or raglan decreases. So anyway, they turned out longer than I had thought. Before I blocked it, they were at a kind of an awkward length, the sleeves. They were about 2 inches too short of my wrist, and they were just kind of at a strange length. I don't know. I wasn't too happy with the fit when I tried it on right after I got done knitting it before I had blocked it. And it's not superwash yarn. I use Knit Picks Palette, which is a fingering weight yarn, 100% Peruvian Highland wool in the Ice Lily colorway. And then I held that together with a silk mohair lace weight yarn that was bare, undyed. And so I was thinking it's probably not going to stretch at all because it's non-superwash, which usually does not stretch at all. But it did. It blocked out beautifully, and I tried it on after I blocked it, and I was just shocked. The sleeves are just a perfect length, so I was so pleasantly pleased with that. Anyway, the highlight of this pattern is this beautiful lace detail that goes all the way down the sleeves. I think it's so gorgeous. And I love the ribbed texture throughout the body. So again, it is knit bottom up. You start with the sleeves, and then you cast on the bottom of the sweater and do a little bit of ribbing there. It's just 1 by 1 ribbing, and knit that up, and then you join everything together under the arms here and do the raglan decreases. And I was just once I got to the raglan decreases, I was just motivated to keep going because, you know, it was getting smaller and smaller. Every row was getting smaller pretty much. So that was super fun. The collar is new to me in that it is doubled over. So I knit it twice as long, and then I folded it in on itself and stitched it inside. And I really love the structure that provides. It kind of gives a mock turtleneck kind of a look. It's completely reversible. The front and back are exactly the same. So that's kind of nice that you can just put it on no matter what. And my thought is maybe it will wear better because you're probably going to be wearing it different ways each time, and so it'll just kind of, you know, not get worn out in the same spots every time, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, I really like it. I'm going to go ahead and stand up so you can see what it looks like better. I also shortened it from the original pattern. I knit it just a few inches shorter than what the original pattern called for, but I'm really happy with the length of that. I usually tend to I tend to prefer cropped sweaters, and this one I wouldn't say is really cropped. It's more of just like on my, I would say my natural waistline. Like it's just maybe an inch or two below my belly button. So I think it fits in a nice way. I'm really happy with it. And the sleeves, look how nice the sleeve length is. I'm so thrilled with that. It was just such a pleasant surprise because, like I said, I was going for 3/4 length sleeves, and who knew? Anyway, I'm really, really happy with it. And like I said, the front and the back are exactly the same, so I love it. I think it's so great, but it's super hot, so I'm gonna take it off. Whew, okay, so much better. We have had a heat wave this week. It's been in the 90s all week, and yeah, it's definitely summer weather around here. So I will not be getting much use out of this for a long time, but come fall and winter, I'm going to love this because we definitely have cold weather in the winters, and I think that this is going to be wonderful, wonderfully cozy. So I'm super excited about that. I used the recommended needle size for this, was able to get gauge with that. I used a total of 256 grams of the Knit Picks palette, and then I used 112 grams of the Lace Weight Kid Mohair Silk Blend. The recommended needle size was a US 5, 3.75 millimeter for the majority of the garment, and then for the ribbing I used US 2, 2.75 millimeter needles. I'm not exactly sure when this pattern will be released, but I will try to remember to mention it once it is released on the following podcast. Whenever it is released, I'll try to remember to mention that so that you all can grab a copy of this pattern if you would like it. I highly recommend it. It is just such a fun knit. So, and if you are worried about the sleeve length being too short, because if you would rather it be as designed to be 3/4 length sleeves, I would highly recommend just following the pattern. But anyway, like I said, I test knit this for Elizabeth, but it was beautifully written already. So yeah, I highly recommend the pattern. I think that's all I have to say for it. This was my first garment that I've knit with mohair. And I've heard other people say, and I agree, that with mohair, when you first put it on, it's a bit itchy. But once you have it on for just a few minutes, the itch goes away. And I agree with that. So if you haven't tried mohair, I would recommend it. I really enjoy it. I love knitting with it. I have another project on the needles that I am using mohair with again, and I just really love the effect of knitting with mohair. Elizabeth of Purls and Peonies, who designed the Veela, also has a podcast which is known by Solapalooza Knits, but she just rebranded her name from Solapalooza Knits to Purls and Peonies. So I'm assuming that she's probably going to be changing her YouTube channel to Purls and Peonies as well, but she hasn't come out with an episode recently, but I would assume once she does, she would rebrand that channel as well. So if you're interested, you should definitely go check out her podcast channel as well. She is expecting her first baby right now though, so I'm not expecting her to be podcasting until after the baby's born, but maybe she'll surprise us. You never know. My next finished object is this beautiful pair of socks that I was able to finish. This is the Rainbow Connection socks by Kay Litton, Crazy Sock Lady Design. She also has the Crazy Sock Lady podcast, which I highly recommend. And I test knitted this pattern for Kay as well and loved knitting it so much that I wanted to make another pair. I had two just half skeins of yarn that I wanted to use up. The main color is my own hand-dyed yarn, Noble Character Crafts, in the Embrace colorway on my Pitter Patter base, 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. I don't dye yarn anymore, but it was one that I had on hand in my, my leftovers. And then I held it together with self-striping yarn from Knit Picks Felici in the Steamer Trunk colorway. And this is the first sock I knit, and last time I recorded, I think I was just on that first color. So I was able to work these up really quickly. This pattern is so addictive, not only with the patterning, the color stripes. It's a great pattern. I highly recommend it. And it can be used with, just little bits of scraps of yarn that you want to, stripe in there. It's great to use with self-striping yarn, or you could even do just two solid colors as well, and it would also look beautiful. So they're knit cuff down, 2x2 ribbing at the top. I did 20 rows as usual. I knit my leg just a little tiny bit longer than what the pattern recommends. I think I do last time I did this accidentally, and so I did the same thing this time. I did, I think, 3 extra repeats of the pattern for the leg than what she calls for. It has a slip stitch heel flap, which is my favorite. And when I got to the toe on the first sock, I was a little bit nervous. I only had 3 grams left I was making them one at a time, but I was weighing my yarn because I had such a little bit of yarn left that I wanted to use up. And I only had 3 grams left to do this first toe, and I wasn't sure if it was going to be enough. So I decided to just go with a bare yarn instead. In hindsight, I could have used it because the toes only take 2 grams each. So that's good to know for future reference, but I thought this looked nice anyway with just the bare toe. Anyway, the color stripes do not match because, like I said, I was just using up the very last bits. I only had a tiny, tiny little nugget of this last color left over. So, but that was perfect. That's what I wanted to do, was to use up this self-striping yarn. And yeah, I highly recommend this pattern for any scraps or little bits of yarn that you have. Let me tell you what I did use. Let's see. So I started off with 46 grams of the main color, the Embrace color, and 30 grams of the self-striping yarn. And I used, again, the same, it was pretty much the same as the last time that I made these. So I used about 42 grams of the main color and 25 grams of the self-striping. I might have used a little bit more of the self-striping on this one because I think Knit Picks Felici is maybe a little bit thicker than most self-striping yarns, but anyway, just kind of as a reference in case you want to use up some scraps as well. These sock blockers are from Purrfectly Catchy Designs. I bought them off of eBay, and they have a huge selection if you're interested. You can find them, I think you can find them on eBay if you just search Purrfectly Catchy Designs. Purrfectly is spelled with 2 R's. P-U, like a cat purrs. P-U-R-R at the beginning. I'll put it down below. I used US 1 2.25 millimeter needles for these, and I made the medium size, which is 64 stitches. I think that's it. Love them. Okay, onto my works in progress, which are all new cast-ons except for my scrappy blanket that I will show you. But my three main works in progress are all new cast-ons, so I'm super excited about that. The first one is being held in this beautiful bag that I received in a swap from Mary Ann of Rock Islander. And this is one of the projects from my Make 9 list. My personal Make 9 list. I've made 2 boards, one for gift knits and one for my personal projects that I would like to make this year. And I have sorely neglected my personal list. I've only made 1 item off of that. So I'm very excited that actually 2 of the works in progress that I have going right now are from my own personal Make 9 list. This gorgeous pattern is the Outline by Beata Jezek, who is Hedgehog Fibers. She's the dyer of Hedgehog Fibers. And this is a free pattern on her website, which is just lovely. And I have been planning this for a long time. This is actually the second time I have attempted to make this pattern. I started making this pattern last year, I believe, and I was just doing completely random colors, putting them together with all of the little scraps I had, and it was turning out way too wild and crazy, and I did not like the looks of it. So I decided to sort my scraps in rainbow colors. So all of the colors that are kind of pinky red-ish in color is what I started off with. And I decided these are all fingering weight scraps, and I've decided to hold this double with a lace weight mohair silk blend as well. And I love the looks of it. I thought that that would be so fun, and it also I thought would help, kind of mute the colors so they wouldn't be so crazy I just thought it would kind of tone everything down so it would look a bit nicer. And I really like the looks of it so far. I sorted all my yarn, so I have a pink red bag, and then orange, yellow, green, blue, and purple. And I started with the pinky red colors, and so this is actually my last pinky red color right here. I've just started into my orange family of colors, but I was surprised with how long it was already. It's already measuring about 25 inches, and I did a little bit of math last night and figured out that it was going to be over like 115 inches or something like that. Super, super long, like way too long. And so I went through all my other colors and kind of pulled out quite a few. So I started with, I think, 600 grams of scraps, maybe a little over that. Let me check my notes. I started with 661 grams of scrap yarn, and I've taken out enough now that I only have a total of 445 grams. So hopefully that will be a good balance, but I'm thinking that this pink section is going to be a lot longer than the rest of the colors. So I hope it would look nice still. I think it'll look good. But in hindsight, I would have gone through, I wouldn't have put in all of these. I would have only picked the ones that were really, you know, pink in color. Because there's a few in here that aren't really pink or reddish looking, you know, they're a little bit different. But anyway, or they're like, you know, like this one has a lot of green in it. I don't know. This one has a lot of blue in it. But anyway, I still love it. I think it's great. The pattern is super easy and memorizable. And it's just, it's kind of funny when you read the pattern, like I said, it's free. There's only 2 rows and you just repeat those 2 rows. So it just says, cast on this many number of stitches. Here's the 2 rows, repeat them until you're done. So super easy. I'm using the recommended needle size, which is a US 6 4mm needle. All of my needles are Chowgu red lace. And yeah, I'm just really, really loving it. I have wound up, where's my bag? Oh, right by me. I've wound up all of the yarn of orange and yellow are in this ball. And I have just been using a Russian join method to connect the yarn when it changes color, which is one of my favorite ways of joining yarn. And that's been going really well. So yeah, I'm loving it. It's so much fun to work on. It really is. The color changing and it's my only pattern right now that I'm working on that is really easy and memorizable. So it's nice to work on. Now, of course, it is warm and it is getting warm. I like to knit out on our porch, but it's pretty warm. I got to kind of try to keep it off of my lap when I'm knitting because otherwise it's way too warm, but I'm loving it still. My next work in progress, I'm so excited about. I'm keeping it in this little sock bag that I received in a swap from Allison. And actually, the yarn that I'm using is also from Allison. And I'm so excited to be joining in on Kay, the Crazy Sock Lady's summer sock camp. And if you haven't heard about it, please go head on over to her YouTube channel and check it out. She announced it on her last podcast, so I think that would have been maybe 102, episode 102, I think. Anyway, so she is hosting a sock camp where you can knit socks, and I think the motivation, I guess, behind it is to try to get people to make socks in a different way than they ever have before. So she has 3 tutorials that kind of go along with the summer sock camp. One is for how to knit socks on magic loop, DPNs, and 9-inch circulars. I normally make my socks on magic loop. I have tried 9-inch circulars before. I'm not a huge fan. My gauge is a much different gauge than what it is on my normal knitting. So if I were to try 9-inch circulars again, I would have to go down in needle size. But anyway, I am trying DPNs. I've never been very good at working with DPNs. I've always been quite intimidated by working with DPNs. And so I really wanted to try to get the hang of working with DPNs. And I am. I'm getting the hang of it because my problem in the past has been that I have horrible ladders in between each DPN. I haven't tried them very often, but when I have tried them, I had really bad ladders. But that was probably when I was pretty new to knitting. I haven't been knitting a terribly long time. I learned back in 2017. So anyway, I haven't tried DPNs since I'm more experienced in my knitting, and I'm so glad that I have now. I'm really enjoying them. So I am using a sock blank, which is the first time I've ever done that as well. And like I said, this I received in a swap from Allison. It's from Hand Dyed by Kate. And looking on Instagram, it doesn't look like she is dyeing anymore, unfortunately. But she is, I think, based out of the UK. And this is 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon base, fingering weight, and the colorway is called Abby or Abi, A-B-I is how it's spelled. And here is the sock blank. Isn't that beautiful? I thought the colors were just so perfect as we're heading into these warmer weather. As we're heading into the warmer weather, I thought the colors were very summery. And I am knitting the Diamondback socks by Kay Litton, Crazy Sock Lady, as well. And the original pattern calls for a 2x2 ribbing, I think, but in Kay's DPN sock tutorial, she does a 1x1 ribbing when she shows how to do that. So I had started off with that, and then I decided to do one of her patterns to go along with these and chose the Diamondback socks, which I am loving so much. Oh, I'm so thrilled with this project. I am loving the sock blank and how it's knitting up. I'm loving the pattern, and I'm so excited that I'm able to, figure out DPNs. It's so liberating. So anyway, I've got a 1x1 cuff for 20 rows, and then the beautiful diamond texture on the front. And I love how this sock blank looks. It's just, you could never get that look from any other way besides a sock blank, and I think it's so cool. I love how the colors are playing out. So anyway, I'm using US 1 2.25 millimeter needles for these as well, and these are also ChowGoo, of course. They're my favorite, obviously. So I'm just really enjoying these. I've done 2 repeats of the pattern, and the pattern calls for you to do 4 total repeats on the leg. So I will do that. I think that'll be a good length. I like my socks a little bit longer. Yeah, and these will have a heel flap and gusset as well. So excited about these. So yeah, I definitely recommend you all trying out the summer sock camp. If there is a method of sock knitting that you haven't tried yet and you would like to, go on over to Kay's channel and check out her tutorials. They're so helpful. Or maybe if you've never knit socks before, I would highly recommend you checking that out. And she also has a specific email address that she set up in case you have any specific questions about anything. She is calling herself the camp counselor, so she's there to help with any questions that anybody has. So it's just a super fun cal that she is hosting, and I'm so excited to be joining in on that. My next work in progress is another one of the projects from my personal Make 9 list. It is held in this me-made bag. I made this using a tutorial by Erica Arndt on YouTube. It's called the Easy Drawstring Bag Tutorial or something like that. I will put it down below. And in here are my friendship mittens. This is a pattern by Snowy Woods Knits. And here is my first mitten so far. Oh, they're cute, aren't they? They look proportionately strange, don't they? They look a little long. But I had a problem with the fit. So they fit, I mean, they're snug in circumference around my hand, but I can still put them on. And usually when I've made colorwork mitts in the past, you kind of want them snug because as you block them and wear them, they do stretch out a bit. So anyway, they fit well, but the actual pattern ends after this snowflake. There's just maybe another little detail right up here, but the decreasing for the top of the mitt starts about in this area, a little halfway past a little way, oh my word, I can't say it. Anyway, the decreasing starts about right here on the snowflake, and I started doing the decreasing and tried it on, and I was halfway through the decreasing and I was only to like right here. So I measured and I needed another 4 centimeters. I did centimeters just to have a really accurate measurement. I needed 4 centimeters more in length. So I just decided to modify the pattern, and I continued with that snowflake pattern but did not do any decreases. I just basically mirrored what the pattern had done at the beginning of the snowflake. I kind of mirrored that up here. once I got past that, then I needed to come up with something to put up here at the top. And I knitted the Julkeveld mittens by Skein Knits last year, and it had this beautiful little heart detail up at the top of the mitten, and I thought that would be cute to add in. So I just used her chart for that heart. And well, basically her chart also has a bit of like a little tree that comes out of the heart up at the top, and I eliminated that. And then she had kind of a detail like this, but I just copied what was already in this pattern with these little plus signs. Basically, I put a couple more of those in here and here. So anyway, I really like how that is turning out. I only have a few more rows before I'll be ready to bind this off, and I think they're turning out really well. Hopefully I think they'll fit well. Now I'm wondering about the thumb, if that's going to be long enough. I might have to modify that as well. Oh, here's the palm pattern, which is really nice as well. I am using Knit Picks Wool of the Andes Sport. The main color is Merlot Heather, which I love. It's just, I mean, looking at it, I would just call it brown, but if you look, the heathered colorways with Knit Picks are so cool because they just have so many fun colors in them. So there's a red and kind of a golden green color mixed in there as well. I would really like a sweater in this color. I don't usually wear brown very often, but it's just more rich than brown. It's almost like a super deep burgundy, I guess you could almost call it. I love it. And the contrast color is same yarn, Wool of the Andes Sport, in the Blossom Heather, I think. Yes, that's right, Blossom Heather. So I really love how those two colors look together. It reminds me of like a gingerbread house, kind of. Maybe like the gingerbread and the frosting or something. I don't know. It just reminds me of a gingerbread house. And I love the two little ladies down here holding hands. I think that's so sweet. The trees are cute. And I have a bit of problems. My color work is not popping out very well on this tree. I keep trying to pull it out, but I'm hoping when I block it, it will show up even better. But they're good. I like them. So, I'm using the recommended needle size for these as well, which I think is a US 2. Yeah, 2.75 millimeter needle. The cuff is a 2x2 rib. So, and usually I change needle sizes when I go into color work, but I didn't, just because she didn't recommend that you do. And I thought that since the ribbing, you usually go down a needle size and go up for the color work. But anyway, I just thought I would try it since that's what she recommended, just to use one needle size, and it seems to be working out pretty well. I don't know, maybe my color work could be a little bit looser, but I'm happy with it. So it's working for me. Anyway, this is only the first mitt, but I'm really happy with it. They do look extremely long, but I do have long hands, or long fingers, I guess. So I've made 4 other pairs of colorwork mittens, I believe, and I've never had this issue before with them being too short on me. So I don't know, but oh well, I'm making it work. All right, my last work in progress is my Hexy Scrappy Afghan or blanket that I am crocheting. And as always, I love this. If you've watched before and seen me show off this blanket, it's my favorite scrappy blanket that I have going. I love it so much. I'm using a C 2.75 millimeter clover crochet hook. I'm using tons and tons of fingering weight scraps, the tiniest little bits. And I like to show it off whenever I've made a complete hexagon again. I'm gonna have to stand up to show this to you because it's huge now. It's really getting big. So now I have 11 hexagons on each of the 6 sides. Oh, it's so great. I love watching it grow. Oh, I love it so much. This brings me so much joy. I just love looking at it. Oh, I don't know. I I will include in the description box below the pattern that I am following for this. I just am doing my own thing. I'm joining as I go. I'm crocheting over all the ends so I don't have any ends to weave in. Like I said, it takes the tiniest little bit, so you can use even less than 1 gram to do a round, especially this third round. So there's 4 rounds total. The first 2 rounds I do with one color. The third round takes the least amount of yarn, just this tiny little nugget will do the trick. And then the 4th round is the joining round, where I do slip stitch into the space across from where I am joining to attach them. And I really love how that's working out. So I just continue to add hexagons along the perimeter of the blanket, and I will continue to do that until it is wide enough. I want to make this pretty large though, so I'm going to continue to do that for several more rounds. Every time I finish a tiny little nugget and I don't have enough left over to add another round into this blanket, I throw it into a scrap basket that I have, and then I have been working those little tiny scraps, which can be as little as this much to, I don't know, oh, I do have one that I just hadn't worked into yet. Oh, can I reach it? Here. This is a little tiny nugget that is not long enough to add to this blanket, but I'm saving it anyway. And I've been working them into another ball that I am joining with the Russian join method. And so I added all of the scraps that I had saved up from this last round around yesterday. And this ball is now weighing 114 grams. That's amazing. I would have thrown all of that yarn away if I hadn't been saving it. And I just started saving these within, I don't know, I would guess maybe 3 or 4 months I've been saving them. So I threw away a lot of scraps that I could have saved in this, but I was motivated from watching Ellie of the Craft House Magic podcast. She had mentioned that she saves even the tiniest bits of scraps to add to her scrap blankets, and I thought, I should do that. I should do that. I know I hate throwing away scraps, but I just didn't think of anything that I could use them for. But I'm so excited about this. I cannot wait to start another scrappy blanket with this, but I'm not going to start one until one of my other scrappy blankets is done, and I have 5 in the works right now, so it will be a while, but oh, I'm so excited about that. And that's so amazing. That's over a whole skein of yarn added up. I am so excited about that. Anyway, so I have just been adding usually about 2 hexagons every morning. This is the first thing I've been working on. Now my tiny little scraps are dwindling. I found it pretty tricky this last round to find colors that would work, that, because I kind of want to spread the colors out. I don't want to have colors that are the same right next to each other. So I've been trying to spread them out, and my scraps are a little bit limited now. I did add a few of the scraps that I was going to add into the outline shawl into my basket that I'm using for this project. So I have a few more that I can work with, but I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to work on this as often as I have been, because I'm just kind of running low on scraps. So I might have to put this on hold a little bit, but we'll see. I'm really hoping not, because I love working on it, and I love having the routine of working on it every morning, because I really want to see this grow. I don't want it to sit unfinished for years and years. I mean, it will take me still a long time to make it and to finish it, but I love working on it. So anyway, we'll see. So I think that's all I have to share with you all for knitting and crocheting this week. It has been a really rough time here in America, especially lately. And if you have tuned in before, you know that I just turn to the Bible whenever I am feeling stressed or anxious or upset about anything. And so I just wanted to share a bit of scripture with you all again today. I was reading through Psalms, and I came across Psalm 34, and I thought it was so fitting and very applicable to what's going on in our nation and even around the world, I think. And so I wanted just to read that to you all, and I hope that it's an encouragement for you all. Psalm 34 says, "I will bless the Lord at all times. His praise shall continually be in my mouth. My soul makes its boast in the Lord. Let the humble hear and be glad. Oh, magnify the Lord with me, and let us exalt his name together. I sought the Lord, and he answered me and delivered me from all my fears. Those who look to him are radiant, and their faces shall never be ashamed. This poor man cried, and the Lord heard him and saved him out of all his troubles. The angel of the Lord encamps around those who fear him and delivers them. Oh, taste and see that the Lord is good. Blessed is the man who takes refuge in him. Oh, fear the Lord, you his saints, for those who fear him have no lack. The young lions suffer want and hunger, but those who seek the Lord lack no good thing. Come, O children, listen to me. I will teach you the fear of the Lord. What man is there who desires life and loves many days that he may see good? Keep your tongue from evil and your lips from speaking deceit. Turn away from evil and do good. Seek peace and pursue it. The eyes of the Lord are toward the righteous, and his ears toward their cry. The face of the Lord is against those who do evil, to cut off the memory of them from the earth. When the righteous cry for help, the Lord hears and delivers them out of all their troubles. The Lord is near to the brokenhearted and saves the crushed in spirit. Many are the afflictions of the righteous, but the Lord delivers him out of them all. He keeps all his bones, not one of them is broken. Affliction will slay the wicked, and those who hate the righteous will be condemned. The Lord redeems the life of his servants. None of those who take refuge in him will be condemned. So I hope that's an encouragement to you all. I am always encouraged by scripture, and so that's what I turn to, like I said, when I'm stressed or overwhelmed by the worries of this world. So I hope that's an encouragement to you all. We've had, despite what's been going on, we've been having a good few weeks lately. It has been a little while since I podcasted, a little bit longer than normal, but we've been doing well. Like I said, the weather's been super, super hot lately, so the kids are anxious to jump into our small pool that we have, but I said they had to wait until I was done recording because I need to watch them. I don't feel comfortable with them getting in there without me watching them. So anyway, they're anxious to get in there after I'm done recording. But I included a clip at the beginning of here, I think, that shows the first baby monarch caterpillar that we collected. We raised monarch caterpillars into monarch butterflies last summer for the first time, and that was such a wonderful experience to watch them grow and make a chrysalis and then hatch from that chrysalis. It was so enjoyable, and so we're so excited to try that again this year. So we've caught our first monarch caterpillar. It was just itty bitty, like a centimeter long, or maybe even 1/4 of an inch, I guess, around there. And last night when we went for it was yesterday morning, we went for a walk and we found it. And already it's, I bet, doubled in size just in about 24 hours. It's doubled in size. So that's incredible. So we're super excited to watch it grow and hopefully collect a few more and see them grow and form. So anyway, I will keep you updated on that as that continues. We've also had some baby raccoons that we saw in our yard yesterday or the day before. Anyway, I took a video clip, and I think it didn't turn out very well, though. It's pretty dark and you can't really see their cute little faces. But my son was outside and he ran inside. He has this fascination with raccoons anyway. And so he saw 3 raccoons in the yard, and he's like fascinated and terrified at the same time, but he came running in, "Mom, there's coons in the yard." And so I went out there, and they're just babies. Their bodies were only like this long, maybe a foot long at the most. And there were 3 of them. They were kind of playing in the yard, and then we watched them, and it was in the middle of the it was like maybe 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So weird to see them out, but they were babies. And I was like, I hope I said, stay away, because what if the mom's nearby and she is aggressive? But anyway, we never saw the mom. We watched them go across our yard and climb up this huge cottonwood tree, and then they went to sleep up in the top of that. Well, not the top, but up quite a ways. Anyway, they were adorable, but we haven't seen them since. So anyway, that was fun though. Otherwise, we've just been doing our schoolwork. I homeschool our kids, and we're just continuing with that and doing well. So trying to stay cool as much as possible. I hope you all are doing well, and I wish you the very best in the next couple of weeks ahead until I podcast again. Thank you again so much for watching. And if you did enjoy this podcast, I would really appreciate you giving me a thumbs up and subscribing to this channel if you haven't yet. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.